The Saudi Pro League's getting rejected by everyone. Ange out, Frank in, but is this a sensible appointment? And CR7 reveals where he'll play next season. This is DMAC Daily. 2 years ago, Al Hilal offered a literal $1 billion for the transfer of PSG's Kylian Mbappe for 1 season. For context, Mbappe had a year left on his contract in Paris. He clearly wanted Madrid, but Al Hilal saw an opportunity to land a superstar in his prime. The deal included a €300 million transfer fee and an annual salary of €700 million, roughly 4 times that of the world's highest paid athlete. But Mbappe rejected, a humiliation for Saudi football. Even though the deal was only 1 year, Mbappe had zero interest. A year later, the PIF's next major target was Vini Jr. They wanted the Brazilian to become the new face of the league, but he too rejected a lucrative switch. So back to the drawing board. They needed a global name, but perhaps a player just slightly below the status of Mbappe and Vini Jr. They found one, Bruno Fernandes, the star of one of world football's biggest clubs and an internationally recognized name. Beyond that, United were in visible decline and could have desperately used the funds of a hypothetical transfer. So they offered a huge fee plus a casual $250 million worth of salary. But Bruno rejected, claiming he wants to stay at the highest level. So they changed course once again, persuading manager Simone Inzaghi to join. Hardly a flex appointment though, coming off of the worst Champions League final defeat of all time. Having got this deal across the line, they turned to Italian football. Napoli's Victor Osimhen, Milan's Theo Hernandez were targeted, both offering absurd wages, but it's been the same old story. None of these footballers want a Saudi Pro League switch. They're now linked with Seshko, Gyökeres, amongst others, but the lack of interest is apparent. They really went from Bruno Fernandes to Angelino in the space of a few weeks. That's embarrassing. Moving to the Premier League, and fresh off of the news of Ange's sacking, Brentford's Thomas Frank is now expected to take over. Now, as you can imagine, in Australia, this news has not been received well. Our GOAT led Spurs to their first trophy in 17 years. He talked a big game and ultimately delivered. But the juxtaposition of Spurs' European campaign to their domestic performances has been bizarre. 17th in the Premier League, 22 losses in a single season. And I understand the context of their injury woes, the disappointing recruitment, and then prioritizing Europe as the season progressed, but I do think Spurs' concerns are valid. They cannot sustain that level of inconsistency moving forward. Now, the counter argument is that, hey, Ange earned the opportunity to keep fighting. After all, he ended their trophy curse. But do Spurs want to risk a possible Ten Hag situation, whereby after 10 games, results haven't improved, and they now have to scramble mid-season to find a replacement? Look, there are a lot of criticisms to be had of Spurs' ownership, but in this specific instance, I don't think they're being reactionary, and in Thomas Frank, this guy deserves his chance at a big club. He's taken Brentford from championship obscurity to an established Premier League club without breaking the bank. In fact, only Ipswich spent less on player wages this season than Brentford. History has shown Frank overachieves with limited resources. Spurs is a big step up, but I do rate the Dane's managerial qualities and tactical acumen. And finally, CR7, fresh off of a memorable UEFA Nations League triumph, has seemingly confirmed he will remain at Al Nassr next season. After a cryptic social media post back in May, the 40-year-old was linked with a host of clubs across the world. There were talks of him even featuring in this year's Club World Cup, but those have been shot down by CR7 himself, and it appears he will renew his deal for a further season. Anyways, that's all for DMAC Daily. See you tomorrow.